This is Goat's Notes Volume 1. It's March 10th, I think. Yeah, because Daylight Savings kicked in today. I woke up early because my phone was set on Denver. That's what it was. I was gonna say, I thought it was Mountain Standard, but no, it was Denver. Because I had my alarm set for 7:15, but it woke me up at 6:15 this morning. Nonetheless, making a wooden screen against the already existing fence. All right, the goats had gotten through. By the way, there's Elmer and Maynard. I don't know where they're at right now. They're chilling in the. Oh, they're out in the pasture right now. Not really pasture, but their pasture. Right one is Elmer. Left one is Maynard. And this is Goat's Notes, as I mentioned. We have a few. Just did some tree trimming right here. This existing structure was right here for our tortoises. We moved that so they could have actually some exposure to the sun during the day. When I originally put it over here, I believed it was going to have that, but it did not, so time to move it. Nonetheless, this fence line is going to be redone as well. You'll see that in a few volumes later. We have our tortoise, one of our tortoises. She's an African sulcata. We've had her now about 6 months. We rescued her. She's great. She's kind of just been chilling in there the entire winter. Comes out periodically. She's been definitely more active the last couple weeks as the temperatures have risen. So we'll probably see more of her, and you'll be looking forward to seeing that. So this right here is actually the goats enclosure. They stay here full time is when they're not roaming out in the rest of the backyard that we have. So there's the African sulcata that I said. They do well together. They're super cool, super friendly with each other. Got a little miniature little playground kind of set up for them, for the goats. We got two different housing areas. They have this mini, it was a dog house actually, that I ended up converting for them. We got them when they were 16 weeks old, so they were already weaned and ready to come home. So we brought them on. They were super young, obviously, so smaller. They fit quite well inside of that old dog house. They actually both still get in there from time to time. But as you can see, this structure over here, this was a 10 by 12 dance floor that I built for my wife and I for our wedding. We actually had that here in the backyard. The dance floor was actually up right underneath these trees right here. It was pretty cool. Great time. The entire backyard was done. So as you can see, there's lots of weeds for the goats to munch on. Rains have been heavy here, and greenery has risen for sure. But back to the dance floor setup. We converted that, made some cuts, popped some screws, called it a day. We had some good rains come through. I did have the original brown tarp, as you can see up in the top left corner. I did have that there naturally, or not naturally obviously, but did have that there first. And then some good rains started coming through. So with the winds that were added with the rains, I didn't want the enclosure inside of there getting too wet. So I popped that in there, and they seem to enjoy that. And the trash bag on top is just some extra alfalfa that I got up there so I can put into their feeder over there, as you can see. These guys are pretty conniving. They're little masterminds for sure. Definitely underestimated them. I did not estimate for them to, munch on my house in a few different areas. There's that area, and then the area along the bottom, with the base right there, from the foundation to the wood paneling. So didn't expect them to munch on that at all. So I put up this little fence line. The fence line did not last but a few months, and as they've gotten older, we've had them about 6 months as well. As they've gotten older, they've definitely got more mischievous. Elmer, which is the multicolor one here on the left hand side, he is full of piss and vinegar. And then Elmer, his brother, they're both brothers by the way, he is pretty laid back, definitely more interested in everything, but Elmer gets crazily involved in everything, so he's just mischievous about it. He's interested, but not as laid back about it. They're super funny. They actually play tag and stuff like that. It's pretty hilarious. They enjoy it here. We have a half acre here, as you may have been wondering. We enjoy it. We have 4 dogs. So yeah, let me give you the rundown of what we have actually. We have 4 dogs. We have the 2 goats. The dogs are a half Australian German Shepherd. And then we have a pit mix. He's a big guy, about the size of the German. Then we have a Westie red nose mix, red nose pit mix. She's pretty cute. She's about the size of a Westie, a little bit smaller than the goats. And then we have a miniature Dachshunds, red, short hair. He's super cute. That's my man. His name's Ruxin. So Ruxin's that guy. The little white Westie pit mix is Monroe. Then we have Dozer, which is our big pit mix. And then we have Una, which is the Australian German Shepherd mix. Then we have the tortoise that we rescued as well. Some people just left her at a house that was, they were evicted and just ended up bouncing and left her, so we ended up taking her in. Then we have 4 other tortoises. 2 I bought when I was younger. It was probably about 5 years ago now, actually. 5 years ago. They're desert Sonoran, so they're native to, the Sonoran Desert, obviously. We got those from a friend of mine that I went to high school with. We had mutual friends. They were my first set, actually. They're doing great. They're actually just coming back out. They're the ones I'm putting out in here. You'll see that. Then we have the other 2 tortoises are both sulcatas as well, but definitely much smaller than the one that we have out here. Her name's Olive, the one that's out here, by the way. Then we have the 2 desert Sonoran ones that I was mentioning that are going in here are Whiskey and Sour. And then we have the 2 other African sulcatas. One is about the size, let's see here, about that size, about that big. He's about a year and a half now. His name's Sully. He's super cool. I bought him as well. He was actually my first African sulcata because I did want a sulcata. He was the first one I got after the desert Sonoran ones that I already have. Then along came Olive, and then after we got Olive, shortly after, it was literally I think the same weekend or the weekend after, I was at the store getting salt water for my reef tank that we have as well, and they have some reptiles that they sell, and this little guy had both of his rear legs were not working. He was about the size of this core's top, maybe even smaller than that actually. His rear legs were not working, as I mentioned, so the people that I had, were getting the water from, I frequent there, and they had mentioned that they had this little sulcata that was not doing too well, and he was kind of struggling, so they asked me if I wanted to give him a home. I said, heck yeah. So brought him home. We put him in a 75-gallon aquarium that we have with my other African sulcata, Sully, that I was mentioning. So Sully took him under his wing for sure. We rehabbed Sprout, is what we call the little guy that we rescued. We rehabbed his right leg to nearly 100%. I'd say it's probably 90. All right, I wouldn't say 100 because 100 I'd rate as successful use as everyday tortoises would, but he's not 100%, but he's definitely 90, I'd say for sure. Left leg more, I'd say about 40 to 50%, but it's rehabbed from, like I said before, when we originally got him, he was only using his front 2 legs to pull himself. So with that said, he's doing great. All right, as he's getting older, we're able to configure this little Lego setup with some wheels on it, so we can maybe get his right leg some use. I'm sorry, his left leg a little bit more use. So I'm sorry, I'm staring at these goats because there's Elmer is interesting. He's all looking all crazy. So now the Lego setup we'd use as like a rehab type manner. we would put them on there or him on there, and sorry, Elmer's just super interesting. He's all eating my grass now. It's finally starting to grow. So we'd put the Lego on him with the wheels at certain times. That way we could use it as a rehab mechanism. So he would be able to not use his right leg and use his left. So that way he would be able to get, some more muscle built and try to bring that up a little bit more and more as time goes on as well. As of right now, he's doing super great. He's grown a little bit as well. He's probably about 4 or 5 months old as well. I mean, the King Menagerie has blown up over the last, 5 to 6 months. We've kind of gotten all these new animals, and they're all doing super successful. We've done a lot of learning. We've done our research before we got the animals, but we're definitely doing our learning through experience as well. So I'm super happy, wanting to rescue more tortoises as time goes on as well. But we'll see how it goes. Becky, my wife, is kind of not about that life at this moment. She just says we have a lot of other things going on, which I totally agree with.